underneath my feet. You are my sword and shield, though troubles linger still. Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. My strength is in your name, for you alone can save. You will deliver me. Yours is the victory. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. And nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. And nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The God of angel armies is always by my side. A wonderful Savior is Jesus, my Lord, a wonderful Savior to me. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, where rivers of pleasure I see. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows a dry, thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand. A wonderful Savior is Jesus, my Lord. He taketh my burden away. He holdeth me up, and I shall not be moved. He giveth me strength as my day. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows a dry, thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand. When clothed in his brightness, transported I rise to meet him in clouds of the sky. His perfect salvation, his wonderful love, I'll shout with the millions on high. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows a dry, thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand.
I'm glad you're here tonight, and I need all of the kids right down here with me. Come on down, please. Ryan, Parker, great. Come on down. Avery, are you too old? You're fine. You're fine wherever you are. You're just fine. Come right here because we're going to talk about Goliath. And everyone knows Goliath was a giant, but what's that mean? How big is a giant? Okay. Almost 10 feet. You're very close. The scripture says he's 6 cubits, and a cubit is from the elbow to the hand, but obviously some people have longer arms than others. So generally it's 18 inches, or in this case, the modern speech translations say he was 9 feet, 4 inches tall. We have a step ladder up here, and I've already measured before I got here. This step is 3 feet. Now we need another 6 feet. Actually, we need 6 feet, 4 inches. Wouldn't do any good for me to get up there. But I asked one of the tall men of the church. I asked Charles Powell to come on down. He is almost the right height. He is 6'2". And you can stand on your tiptoes on that third step a little bit there. Climb up to that third step for us, will you? And we'll get a picture, I think, of just how big Goliath was. Up straight? Oh my goodness. You want to stand right here, Ryan? Look. Can you imagine going to battle against a guy that tall? I can't. No, I can't either. Well, now the situation gets even worse for whoever is going to fight him, because the scripture says that he had a coat of armor. Now, you've seen these in cartoons and maybe in museums. They were real things. Come on down. The coat of armor would be a metal suit that the person would wear. They would put it on him and buckle it around behind him. It weighed 25 pounds. Now, Jessica brought us some dumbbells. This one is 25 pounds. See if you can pick that up, will you, Ryan? Oh, can you imagine wearing that much? Pass it down to Olivia and right on down. Parker won't have any trouble, but down at the end, I don't know whether Emily can handle that or not. Yeah. Even those of you who have no difficulty, Avery, you don't have any difficulty with 25 pounds, do you? Ah, you can. Very good for Emily. You don't have any difficulty, but can you imagine walking around with that much weight? Okay, it gets worse. The giant here had a spear that was like a weaver's beam. That's going to be something like that, about 6 by 6, and it's long. Probably goes up to his head or maybe even beyond. And the head of it, you know, like an arrowhead, was a piece of metal at the end, and it weighed 15 pounds. Can you handle that one? And pass it on down so that everyone gets a chance to find out. 15 pounds. Now, Ryan, you handled that very easily.
Yeah,
but can you
hold both of them at the same time?
Yeah, you hold both of them at the same time. We don't want to hurt somebody.
It was Miss Judy's idea.
Okay. He would be wearing the 25 and then the 15.
You need to hold both of them.
Hold both of them, she says. Okay.
Pass it back.
Emily, see if you can pick up both of them at the same time. Ooh. Way to go.
She must go to CG.
Yeah, that's it. Now, you've got to be able to throw that too. Okay. Yeah, you'll skip that part. Here's the picture. Israel and Philistia were going to battle. And it was one of those times when they drew up across the valley from one another, so close that you could hear one another shout. And the shout came from the giant, Goliath. By the way, you're the right height, but how about the width? Can you put your arms out like, yeah. Out wide. Big man. Yeah. And Goliath would walk out and say, we don't need two armies to fight. Am I not a soldier? And you could send out a soldier? One man fight me. If I win, you will be our servants. And if he wins, we'll be your servants. For 40 days, he went out and laid that challenge out, and all of the Israelite soldiers were scared. None of them would dare take him up. On the 40th day, someone else arrived. You see, there was a farmer by the name of Jesse who had a lot of sheep, and his young son David was taking care of the sheep. Jesse had 3 sons who were out there fighting. And he called David home from the sheep, and he said, I want you to take this food down and feed your brothers, give it to them to eat, and bring me back a report on how the battle is going and whether or not they're safe. David got there just in time to hear Goliath come out. And immediately he said, who is this that defies the armies of God? Why won't anyone go fight him? He began to ask questions. His oldest brother, Eliab, heard about it. He said, what are you doing? You just came down here for the show. We know you, and who's taking care of those few sheep back in the wilderness? There's a whole lot of sheep, by the way. David said, what did I do? Can't I say anything? But he kept asking, who is this? And then he found out that the king, King Saul, had said, whoever will go out and fight him will be richly rewarded. I'll give that soldier a lot of money. He'll marry my daughter. It's a big privilege to marry the king's daughter, I guess. And his family won't have to pay taxes anymore. Yeah. And so David began to get a little bolder, and he said, I'll fight him. Well, I don't think anyone took that seriously but he kept saying it. So they took him to Saul. Saul looked at him and said, you can't fight him. You're just a teenage boy, and he's an experienced warrior. Look at what he said. Jackson's about to bring up the next verses. He said, when I was tending my father's sheep, if a bear or a lion attacked, I drove them off with just my hands, and if they turned on me, I took my hands and tore their jaws by the strength of the Lord. If I can take on a lion and a bear, I can take on a giant. Saul said, okay, we'll send you out. But put on my armor so you'll be protected. He put it on and it was so bulky. Olivia, come here. Granddaughter in granddaddy's coat. How you feel? Could you go play with the girls across the street like that?
No.
Could you fight a giant like that? No. No, in fact, it's just too bulky, and that's the point. This armor just didn't fit. David took 5 smooth stones and went to meet the giant. The giant was angry about that. Move on to that slide where it talks about how, I believe you're down in verse 40 or something like that, Jackson. The giant came out to meet him, and he said, am I a dog that you come out to me with stones? Suppose that there's a dog in your yard, and you don't want that dog there. Maybe he looks diseased or at least a mangy stray that you don't want around. You would chunk a rock at him, right? Throw a rock at him. So Goliath says, am I a dog? You going to throw rocks at me? And then he said to David, come here, boy. This day I'm going to cut off your head, and I'm going to feed your body to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. You know what David said? You come at me with a sword and spear and javelin. I come to you in the name of the Lord, the God of hosts. And this day, this very day, the Lord will deliver you into my hand. I will strike you down and cut off your head. I will give the dead bodies of the Philistine army, not just Goliath, but the others, to the birds of the air and to the animals of the field. And then they will know, all will know, that there is a God in Israel. He added, in all of this assembly may know that the Lord does not save by sword or spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into my hand. With that, David began to advance toward the giant. In fact, the scripture says he ran. He put a stone in that little pocket in the slingshot, you know, the kind that goes around and around like that. And when he turned it loose, the stone was driven by God right into the forehead of the giant. It killed him. He fell down on the ground. David didn't have a sword, so he ran up and took the giant's own sword, and with it he cut off his head. Now, he also carried that head around with him the rest of the day, and even took it back to Jerusalem as a trophy. Yeah, a little gross, but that's battle. All battle is gross. Yeah. The Israelites all began to run. The Philistines all began to run. The Israelites pursued them and killed a great many of them. Is tremendous victory for Israel. I've got a question. By the way, giant, you're dead. You can come down now. Thank you for your service, giant. I've got a question. Why did the Philistines run? Okay. They didn't think that they were big enough, and you're right. He was their best weapon. But now, just a minute, before you just take that fast, a lot of them were giants. Goliath may have been the best fighter, or he may have even been the biggest one, but the rest of them were probably giants. A lot of them were, at least. Do you know that when Moses sent the 12 spies into the land, the promised land, to look it all over, they came back saying, oh, there are giants in that land. Giants, not just one, several. And later on in life, David thought he was going to have to fight another giant, a Philistine. Do you know this name? Ishbabenob. Can you even say that? No. You can say Goliath, but Ishbabenob was another giant Philistine. By this time, David had gotten some years on him. He was in his 50s, maybe even 60 years old, and his men said, no, it's time for a younger man to do it, and besides that, you're too valuable to Israel. And so his nephew, Abishai, went out and killed that giant. They ran because they knew there was a God in Israel. Several of them were giants. They were bigger than the Israelites, just as good in battle, but they knew that the Lord doesn't fight with sword. He kills by his power. He defends his people. Go back to verses 46 and 47 and bring it up again, Jackson. Here's the power. Here's the passage. He said, I will give your bodies to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field, and then you'll know, everyone will know, that there is a God in Israel. You're going to face some pretty big problems in life. Did you know that? Some of you have already faced some of them. You've seen your parents face them. Giant-sized problems. But guess what? The same God who delivered Goliath into the hand of David is still alive today. He took care of his people then. He will take care of his people today. Little ones and big ones. And no giant can stand against the Lord of hosts. Chet, you even have a song that says that, don't you?
We do.
You can go to your seats.
I can see the promised land, though there's pain within the plan. There is victory in the end. Your love is my battle cry. When my fears like Jericho build their walls around my soul. When my heart is overthrown, your love is my battle cry. The anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into, over fear, over lies. We're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. There is hope within the fight, in the wars that rage inside. Though the shadows steal the light, your love is my battle cry. The anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into, over fear, over lies. We're singing the truth that nothing is impossible. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into, over fear, over lies. We're singing the truth that nothing is impossible.